Welcome back. This is now Talk of the Nation, and after the 2016 general election, political parties under the umbrella organization Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, or IPOD, agreed to resolve their political differences through dialogue. Secretary Generals of the NRM, FDC, DP and UPC meeting here in Kampala felt there was an urgent need for engagement to mitigate the negative impacts of the current political environment that it might bring. And of course, some of the key questions were also raised as to why the NRM most oftenly backtracks and does not implement most of the agreed positions. And however, in the same year, the Forum for Democratic Change Party opted out. Now today, just like in the story aired minutes ago, all parties were present, and tonight we are joined by Dr. Gerald Siranda, the Democratic Party Secretary General, who attended the meeting to share more of what transpired there with us. Welcome to NTV Weekend Edition tonight.
Thank you, Walter, the management of NTV and our viewers out there.
We want to start by understanding, what has been happening ever since, the last election, and of course, the meetings from IPOD, what has been happening in there.
First, I want to appreciate you for this opportunity and to speak to Ugandans that the country decided to go multi-partisan. And in 2009, the Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, IPOD, was formed, basically to forge a way forward on how should we nurture and grow multi-party growth. Because we are competitors and we should not be looked at as enemies, but we should be looked at as competitors. And it is our role as political parties, with members of parliament, in parliament. IPOD brings together political parties that have representation in parliament. We have DP, we have NRM, we have UPC, we have FDC, and now JEMA. Because by the virtue that they have a member of parliament, we now had an inclusion in them. The first thing that we did in this IPOD 2 of this legislative period was to make sure that we sign an MOU. The old IPOD had an MOU, but all party presidents had not committed to it. IPOD is headed by the summit at high level, which is the summits of presidents or chairpersons. And then we have the Council of Secretary Generals, and then we have the Secretariat. Now, under the Council of Secretary Generals, we have the Secretary General as the leader of the delegation. We have two other people, myself for DP and Honorable Namayanja and Simon, and the whip of the party. We want whatever that was discussed in the old IPOD was not being implemented. And we felt, of course, some few things that were implemented, but we felt that we should include the summit, should be workable, and the Secretary Generals and the whips of the political parties, including the leader of opposition and the leader of government business. Now, we signed that MOU early last year. For us, that is an achievement. And what we're doing today is we've paid the courtesy call to discuss with party president, because since 2009 the summit has never sat, and the summit is the highest organ. We should be accounting and doing work on behalf of the summit. Now, when this MOU was signed, we resolved as council to visit all party heads and communicate to them, to speak to them, to tell them that it is their role to make sure that multi-party growth is moving. Walter, we are not potato growers in political parties. We are not farmers. We are not medical personnel. Our business is politics. And Uganda decided to go multi-partism, and we must make sure that multi-partism works. We must make sure that we have I, which is inter-party, we have P, which is political parties and organization and dialogue. Now, the centerpiece of our multipartism is dialogue and speak. So we went to UPC at Uganda House, we went to FDC at Najana Kumbi, we came to DP, my political party, at City House. Now, the long-awaited meeting was with the chairman of NRM. Today, we went to the National Resistance Movement headquarters to meet the NRM chairman, not the president. Our meeting is with the chairman of the political party, because we want to take away all the other courts and address the issues of structure, because we believe that our multipartyism has been taken over by the gunmen. There is a difference between NRM and the state. Now, the gunmen, the security agencies have taken over NRM. And what we are trying to do is that NRM has a role in our multi-party growth. Just like DP has a role, FDC has a role, JEMA has a role, and UPC.
Now you just said you didn't take part in the meeting with the chairman of the NRM because he called for the meeting at State House, and that's not where you intended to meet him. You and FDC, of course DP and FDC, decided not to move to the State House. Now, you also just told us that the last meeting was 2009. Is there a future for IPOD if we are doing work in that kind of manner? We meet when we feel probably we have to talk about something, or we will have to follow someone's instructions to meet here or there.
IPOD has a very big future. And I want Ugandans to understand that even just for us sitting together at NRM headquarters today was a miracle. And for me that sends a very big signal that we can speak. If you want to make peace with your enemy, start talking with your enemy and then make a partnership, because we are in this struggle to go to State House as well. The meeting in State House is no problem, because after elections in 2016, my late Secretary General then, and myself, and the National Chairman, Honorable Namaya, and the other colleagues met in Jinja, agreed to go to meet the President, because then there were demands of violence, imprisonment, and arrest of other people that the President had competed with. We went to Entebbe. The chairman then, because IPOD Council, IPOD is rotational, the chairman then was FDC under Honorable Nandala Mafari. And when he did the text, when we reached the time of going to Entebbe, they pulled out of the meeting. He called my Secretary General then, Honorable Matthias Nsubuga, RIP, and he took charge. And you know what happened after? Was a racket, kind of weird, but we had gone to Entebbe with the proper text. The meeting in Entebbe today, I want to associate with it. As a party we have signed, FDC has signed. The only challenge was the choice of venue, because we went to NRM headquarters today expecting to meet the chairman. When we got there, they told us the chairman is busy because he's also the head of state. We said it's okay, but when we are in IPOD, we represent interests. And our role and cardinal responsibility is to grow multipartyism, is to grow institutions. And we want to separate between the state and NRM. So
I want to
the colleagues that went to NRM, that went to meet the President, it's okay. We are okay with it, but we felt that we needed to him as a head of state to help grow multipartyism.
I want to commit right there, and
yes.
I'll cut you short there.
It's okay.
But I want you to tell us, and of course this is general for politicians and politics in general. What kind of picture are we painting for the electorate? If we say today we are planning to have national dialogue, and then tomorrow one party will pull out, and then the next day the other party will also say that we are no longer interested. We actually have some, we've had some other party members from the FDC coming out to say that they are not interested, and they were not even interested from the start in the national dialogue. What do you want the people to believe? Are you, taking Ugandans for a ride because it's politics and that's how the game, plays out?
I think, Walter, the biggest issue here is a question of principle. We do not want to change goalposts here and then. We only want to be principled, and we want to help our system, not to fuse the system. There are two different things. There is a difference between political party A, political party B. We want to drive a vehicle painted multipartyism, but we also want to engage gears that speak multipartyism. And what we are trying to do is to play our key roles. On the question of dialogue, we are very committed, and that's why I'm saying that we signed on the commitment of what is being delivered there, because we agreed on a text. The text is to call upon the President as a summit member to accept to meet the other leaders of the summit so that this multi-party growth works out. We want to see a free, fair, and non-violent elections take place. The question of dialogue is a very, very, very sensitive dialogue, and we believe in dialogue. Now, you cannot talk about dialogue when political parties that have been at the centerpiece, including at the formation of Uganda, do not have the overall centerpieces of the dialogue. We went as IPOD, we hosted the conveners, the Interreligious Council, and the National Interreligious Council and the elders at IPOD Secretariat. And we raised the question that we needed them to write to parties through the Secretary General so that we convene our structures, we mobilize our members, and we wanted to know what is the agenda, who is the funder, where is the venue, what is the commitment of this dialogue. We are not only going to the dialogue to take pictures, to shake hands. We want a dialogue that is going to produce something tangible for the country.
In a few seconds, I want you to conclude. Our time is fast spent. What do you see as the biggest challenge that you need to tackle?
The biggest challenge is for Ugandans to agree that yes, we can address the challenges of the country together, we can fit in one country, and nobody has a veto. And we should throw away pride and accept to speak with no head boyship, with no headmastership, but to speak as children of this country. The future of the country can only be solved when we speak. Apartheid in South Africa was legal, was within the laws, but it wasn't just. It's not enough to have numbers. We all need to mobilize our agencies. Dialogue is very good, but we should not rush it. We should get back to our structures and understand so that we don't go to history of what happened in Lancaster and what happened in Nairobi and what happened in Iruero. We need a real, in a real sense, the dialogue that's all inclusive for every Ugandan to deliver the country that we need.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gerald Siranda. Of course, he is the Secretary General for the Democratic Party. That was Talk of the Nation. We'll take a short break and we'll return with more. Don't go away.